Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Hello again and welcome to the program Agriculture on the Move. I am Phillip Sydney, your host. Helen is 40 years this year. Helen is still young and growing. The journey continues. Just remember where we were 40 years ago when it came to agro-processing. I'm sure you'll remember the Coconut Growers Association, the factory in Fleur, producing oil, soaps. Then, of course, we took it to the next level. We have the Viking Traders and also Barron's Foods that took it to the international level. It began in cottage industries all around the island. I'm sure you remember, our parents, my mother doing the coconut oil, with grating coconut. I was on my fingers cut in grating coconut and making coconut oil, which is organic. Now it has moved to a number of persons into agro-processing, value added. That was displayed vividly at our World Food Day last year in Fordor. We saw so many things that Saint Lucia produced. Women are involved. The women group in Angers, they now involved with a new line, the Miku dark chocolate. And the list goes on and on and on. The Mille Fleur, they have done so much for Saint Lucia, and we need to move on. So we need to get our people involved in value-added agro-processing because the government cannot employ everybody. You can be self-employed, and that's why the ministry, creates the environment so that we can assist those persons who are willing in the rural areas to go into agro-processing. And of course, those of you who remember, there is an agro-processing plant in Foaso, and there's a new one to be commissioned in just a few days on Sunday coming, in Angers. Again, the ministry or the Department of Agriculture is creating that environment so that young people, groups in the rural areas can develop their products, and of course, that environment is created so you can work with extension officers and the marketing officers to ensure your product can be well done on the market. We have Makabu flour on the market right now. We have plantain flour. So people, we are well on our way. The journey continues. With me is Anthia Joshua, who is a former marketing specialist in the Department of Agriculture. So right now she is a procurement officer for Noble Tree Coffee and Cocoa Production Inc. And next to her, of course, my good friend John Edward, who is the treasurer of Mille Honey Producers Cooperative Society Limited. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good. Anthia, tell us a little now. I mean, you have a new position. You just retired, and of course, I suppose because of your involvement and your efficiency, you were able to move to higher heights. So the journey continues, right?
Yes, the journey.
Tell us about your new association with the Noble Tree Coffee and Cocoa Production.
Noble Tree Coffee and Cocoa Production Inc. is what I was dreaming of all the time I was in the ministry.
Okay.
We have been developing various sectors, subsectors in the agriculture industry, but it was always touch and go. So we get a project, and most of it because we don't have money. Mm-hmm. You get a project for production, but then where do you sell it? You understand? Or you get a project for marketing, but you do not have the product. So the two never came together at the right time for everything except bananas.
All right.
So this was an opportunity where an investor is looking at developing the coffee and cocoa industry, but focusing primarily on coffee, where they have invested lots of money in developing the flavor, that is Saint Lucian, single source. So all the coffee that they want to produce and sell and put on the market has to come from Saint Lucia. Yes, they presently have a cafe at Point Seraphine, and I invite everybody to go down there and taste that coffee. Because the visitors come off the cruise ship and head straight to that cafe. Because some of them say what they get on the boat is crap. That's not my words, that's their words. That's their feedback on the coffee at this. And this is pure Saint Lucian coffee. And again, it is their blend, but using our coffee. Now, in the past, the ministry has promoted coffee, and like I said, there wasn't any targeted market. You understand? There are other persons who have requested coffee, but the organization of the farm, because the farmers won't just appear on your doorstep.
Yeah, they need to be
You
organized.
have to be organized. Now, the other goal of Noble Tree is to have it Saint Lucian owned and run. Candy is a Saint Lucian, but she wanted to be more, to have more Saint Lucians involved. They
Indigenous.
Want to, right. They want to get as many people, Saint Lucians, involved in the, from the plant to the fruit.
Right.
Right? So from crop to cup.
From crop to crop to cup.
You're
Yes,
right.
yes, yes, yes,
Definitely.
yes, yes, yes.
And so, and it's, imagine, they had been at Point Seraphine for close to a year already.
Wow.
And I hadn't been to them. That was last year. And a friend of mine dragged me to Point Seraphine because her toe had broken. And I said, but for true, let me go and see if they are there. And the same time I walked into the store, they walked in at the same time, and the rest is history. And then, so we hooked up again. And so now we're on the market, we're buying from the farmers, most of whom we have contacted are very happy. They get paid immediately. So, you know, so it continues. So because he's gotten a good deal, he's telling his friends and so. But so far our concentration have been in Region 4 because the factory is at Angers. In the complex, in the thing. So it is easier for us to get farmers.
When you say factory, their own thing? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
it's in the same complex with the rural women.
Okay.
But so what would happen is they would process the bean, and then the green bean, they roast it and blend it and blend and roast, and that's what's being sold at Point
But you know,
Seraphine.
that was one of the programs in the ministry as far as niche market was concerned. I remember under the past administration, Musa was saying that that's one area they wanted to look into. And they figured, hey, instead of looking for export, let us start using it indigenously for St. Lucia. So when the tourists come in, they can buy into it and they can drink. So it will be in the local restaurants and the coffee shops and stuff like that. So I think it's something that that has come to fruition.
Yes, but the thing is, because we do not know where everybody is, the supply presently is not sufficient for us to be in the restaurants and so. Because what we have presently is like disappearing very quickly in this cafe.
Okay.
So there is also a planting component where we we have a nursery, but we want to expand to put nurseries to develop nurseries with other persons and to go into planting of coffee. So we have some people that already have planted. We also bind the saplings.
But are you all in sync with the extension officers so that you all can, to enable that program to work well?
Yes, we're working directly with the officers. Okay. So far what we have been doing is with the officers in Region 4. I've reached out to all the other regions so far, but the thing is coffee is not high up on the
Yes,
farmers'
yes,
agenda.
yes,
For
yes.
that matter, there are some farmers that are cutting down the trees that breaking our
Yeah, but the
heart.
point is, if it is market driven and they can see what that, well, you'll have to work hard to ensure that they understand there is a
Yes.
market. So if farmers will grow anything,
Trust me on that
once
one.
there is a market,
Yes,
definitely. So-
because like I was telling you, getting paid for the coffee, because some of them were saying, well, they don't mind because it's just falling there,
okay.
right? But there are few people who would have processed and they would sell it on to the marketing
Well,
board and other
hold that point.
persons.
We are due for a break, Mr. Edward. I'll come into you in the second part of the program. Stay tuned. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned.
What is biodiversity?
When you look at biodiversity, it's all around.
I think of biological and I think of diversity.
What is biosafety?
Safety measures for our foods, our products, etc.
Biodiversity is the variety of life. Biosafety, on the other hand, involves the management of products of biotechnology, such as GMOs and LMOs. Biosafety seeks to protect Saint Lucia's biodiversity. The terms biodiversity and biosafety are not interchangeable. Get familiar with these terms. Observe the biodiversity around you, the changing environment of food production and sustainable growth. Do your part. Visit our websites and stay tuned to this station for more information on the National Biosafety Framework.
Welcome back. Mr. Edward, you are representing Mille honey producers. Mille has been around for a while. Okay, there are a number of honey producers around the island, as we know, but there is still need for honey. The demand is very high. We know climate change have interfered with a number of when it comes to production. Tell us where you are now with Mille.
Bonjour, monsieur. Avant de répondre à une question qui m'a dit bonne 40 l'année anniversaire cette ici, nous apprécions ça nous et nous commencer service à nous pour aller côté nous besoin aller.
D'accord.
Happy 40th anniversary Saint Lucia. 40th interdependence and independence. And Mr. Sydney, just before I answer your question, I remember your preamble, and your preamble brought me back to my days at primary school at the St. Aloysius RC Boys. I was 13 years and independence was all over the place. And as youngsters at school, we were wondering what independence was going to be like. And one of the things that we were saying among ourselves as children, you know, boy, we'll have to take our banana and make flour with it. We will have to take our coconut oil and do this. We were thinking of being totally independent, not realizing it as an interdependent thing. And this morning, our program has to do with interdependence because Anthia planting coffee, we are into beekeeping, business planting, business plants for foraging, flowers and everything. So whereas we may be independent, we are still in the interdependent. And we also have in the air cluster. So cluster is how we can add value, how we are interdependent one on the other.
Well said.
Let me say this. 2 years ago, Dr. Sanchez from AICA introduced to St. Lucia the Perun Hive. And the Perun Hive, at the end of his presentation, he made a statement by Dr. Einstein, scientist Einstein, Albert Einstein, and he said that if the bee disappear from the surface of the earth, in 4 years humanity will disappear as well. Because all of the plants that depend on beekeeping and pollination and foraging, we depend on it, so we'll be actually destroying ourselves. Right now, this is where we are. We are destroying ourselves. Even the same ministry that you're from and the ministry that we depend on, they want to revive the banana industry, but they're using some chemicals to the black cickatuka, and that is affecting bees. The ordinary individual spraying all kind of aerosols and all kind of things around the place, they are destroying bees. We want to bring humanity to an understanding. You need honey, you want honey. And you can realize, right now you're realizing 10, 15, 20 years ago, you could have just go down the road and get a bottle of honey. why you cannot get it right now.
Yes.
It is because we are destroying the industry and we are not aware of what we are doing.
In conjunction with climate change.
Right, as well as climate change. So I want to bring us to the awareness.
Yes.
If there is one thing that I can do, spend this program to do, is to bring people to the awareness
Great.
of what we are doing to bees. There is a particular program on a morning where they are swapping a bee. And people are killing bees every day, not being aware of what they're doing.
Right.
So,
But people are scared of bees, guys.
huh?
People are scared of bees.
People are scared of bees. But again, they need to know
Well, you need
the
to
bee is
educate
a
them,
friend.
yes.
And so this is what we would like to do. Get them to understand that the bee is a friend. It's not a pest.
Yes.
It is a friend.
Yeah.
And this is what we want to do, Mille want to do. We just want to spread the information that the bee is more your friend than your enemy.
All right.
And that is what we want to do.
Okay.
And once we have arrived at that and you stop killing your bees, you realize that the climate change is not really going to be a problem as such, although it is. But with you understanding what bee is, you start doing what you need to do. You need to adapt. The bee has been around for millions of years, and they adapt to conditions.
Yes.
We too just need to understand them, help them develop, give them what they need, and they will eventually thrive, and we will get what we need, which is the honey from them. And not the honey only. You have propolis, you have beeswax, you have pollen,
Yes,
you have a
yes.
whole
Value
number
added.
of products coming out of the beehive. Even the venom too is good for therapy.
Yes, I was told so.
Yes.
In fact, Mr. Welsh, this is just passed away. I remember him telling me, if you have arthritis, just get a few
Bee
bee
stings.
stings and then you should be all right. I said,
Yes,
okay, hold
that is true.
hold your
Yes.
hold your
So
idea.
you might just have to go into beekeeping, get a few stings, and your arthritis will be dealt with.
But let me ask you,
Yes.
going forward, I realize, okay, you spoke about the banana industry and the chemicals that they spray. And of course, farmers, if there is a thriving banana industry, as we are told, there is a market for bananas. People, once they can sell, as we said earlier, once there's a market, people will produce.
Right.
They will be expanding. They're going to they'll be cutting down trees again.
Right.
What are you all doing in terms of expanding your forage area? Are you all planting plants? Is there a planting program as far as Mille Fleur is concerned?
We, in 2012, when we did the Jeff project, which was assistance coming from Jeff, that was a crucial component of the project,
Right.
that we go through a tree planting program. Part of that was part of the project, that we have to plant trees.
Okay.
Because Thomas had come, and part of our foraging, or most of our foraging, was destroyed. And we never made it our business to replant. But when Jeff came about, that is when we started.
Okay.
It is a continuous project.
Process, okay.
Whether it is finance or not, we always encourage people to grow, plant trees, because that is what the bees depend on, foraging. And hence the reason why Anthia is talking about coffee and Mille is talking about bees, because even the coffee is going to add to the foraging capacity.
It's a symbiotic relationship, I've always
All
said,
the
because
time.
once the bees pollinate, you'll get more.
Products.
That's correct.
Crop,
And then,
greater
and,
crop.
and then you'll
Greater
get
yield per acre.
per acre, and you'll get other, of course, your yield will increase too.
By all means.
So there is a
Yes.
real symbiotic relationship
Right.
that is there.
And we want farmers to understand that. Most farmers don't understand it. They believe we could just put a box of bees somewhere, don't attend to it, don't do anything, and it will give you honey. It's not so. You have to give it.
Yeah.
Like we used to say in the computer world, garbage in, garbage out.
Yes, yeah.
In the beekeeping, you put your effort, your time into it, you plant trees around your area, you're going to get a return
Okay,
from the bees.
great.
Yes.
And Theo, coming back to you, you're working with the officers to ensure that I hear you mention nurseries. Have that started?
Yes, it has started
Okay,
already.
where are those nurseries now? Could you give us, areas? Farmers maybe watching this program will be able to know, who to go to and where they can get plants.
Okay, like I told you, our focus has been in Region 4. So they can call the extension office, or they can contact me at 716-3481
Okay.
and to tell me whether or not they want plants, whether or not they want to sell coffee to us.
Okay.
So all of that is possible.
Okay.
For that matter, we also want to do a rehabilitation program, because a lot of
Yes.
persons have abandoned their coffee trees.
And you should know why.
Yes.
Because they cannot sell it.
They cannot sell it. So therefore, a lot of them are very tall. But what we have noticed is that since we started harvesting, the harvest period has extended, because if you harvesting, it will continue flowering. But if you have the drying up on the tree, it will eventually have one flowers. The flower won't be as good.
To be pruned.
Well, we're doing pruning as well. But what I'm saying is harvesting, because plants like us want to know that they leave somebody behind.
Yes.
So that's why that's part of their desire for for reproducing. So if the fruit stays on, it reduces the need to reproduce.
Okay.
But if you harvest it, that means it increases the need to
Okay.
reproduce. So we have a rehab program that we're going to be rolling out soon. We also will be looking at...
Hold that point, you do fun in the break.
Yes.
You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned.
If you have to do your own spray mix for Black Sigatoka treatment, always follow the recommended safety procedures. Always wear protective gear when handling or being exposed to the fungicide or other pesticides. Use only the fungicides recommended by the Black Sigatoka Management Unit when the treatment is due. The required quantity of the particular fungicide recommended must be mixed with spray oil and applied at a rate of 1.5 to 2 gallons per acre. Fungicides which are not recommended or applied at the wrong time, or even when the spray treatment is not done effectively, can cause the fungus to become resistant to the chemical and therefore may no longer control the disease. Oil fungicide mix which has been stored for too long should not be used to treat Black Sigatoka disease. If carried out, such treatments may not be effective and can lead to poor control of the disease. Remember, before each chemical treatment for Black Sigatoka disease on your farm, first, the oil fungicide mix must be re-agitated immediately before application.
For more information on how to treat and control Black Sigatoka on your farm or in your backyard garden, contact the Black Sigatoka Management Unit at 451-5491, 451-5894, or email bpmu@candw.lc. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture in collaboration with the International Cooperation and Development Fund of the Republic of China on Taiwan.
Welcome back. Anthia, I remember growing up, there was a very short shrub. And I remember my mom used to harvest this. And in those days, they call it gui. They used to gui it. And then that was, again, a coffee in the morning. Have you all looked at that plant?
Yes, that's the cafe Zepiet.
Zepiet.
You're right. We know it has been traditionally used as a coffee, but it's something you have to acquire a taste for.
Okay.
Because especially if people have gone accustomed to the traditional coffees, the Liberica, Arabica, and Robusta, right? It is because it has a very high bitter taste. Okay. And yeah. So even as a child, coffee wasn't something I really liked.
But have you all tried it on the market?
No, we haven't tried it on the market, but the investors have tasted it, and it is something that in the future,
we look at
that like phase 3, we can look at blending it with the others.
Right.
So
yes,
yeah, and have it as a specialty.
Of course.
But for now, what we want to do is to tap into what people are traditionally accustomed to and get the flavor. Okay. So we have those plants, but a lot of us don't know which one is which, right? Because we have not really kept a check of it. And things evolve wherever they are. Right. And flavors develop, especially in Saint Lucia, to make it different from somewhere else because of the organic and all of that. Correct. So we are working with the Cuban embassy to see if we can characterize the coffee locally, do DNA and all of that to find out exactly what it is that we have. Okay. Because we want to verify that and convince people this is a single source. Right. Because we target in a niche market. Right. So we can get a little higher price and people are willing to pay for it. And also, like I was saying, we have a rehabilitation program that we're going to be going through, looking at fertilizers and, you know, and pruning, right? And to ensure that where possible, that the farmer move away from those harmful pesticides, right? So that when we say this is a pesticide-free, traditionally Saint Lucian coffee, we can be assured that it's true because we have the testing and the proof.
But don't say organic, eh?
No, you notice I didn't say it. I said pesticide-free. Exactly.
Yes,
and then, so this symbiotic relationship that John had spoken to has to continue, not just with honey, but with other aspects of agriculture. Because Saint Lucia is a small island. And to me, if we decide to cut out all those harmful pesticides, we are entering into a niche market for all our agricultural products.
Where are you now with Mille, the honey, the way forward this year?
Well, Mille is always evolving, coming up with new ideas as to where we can get to, where we have to go and stuff like that. What Mille really wants to see is that, just like Anthia said a while ago, we want to see that all of those harmful pesticides are ceased from usage. And then we use the eco-friendly ones, which is also going to assist whatever, like the banana, and also assist the beekeeping. And Mille, by that means we want to expand beekeeping. What we are, but let me say that even at present, what we are doing is that we are trying to even decentralize our efforts per se and allow the farmers in the communities to do their little beekeeping, and we come and assist them in whatever way possible, because there are people who don't like to travel too far from where they are, but wherever that they are, we want to get to them and be there with them, help them. If we have to get more extension officers, do that. Mille is on the verge of having our AGM, and we want our members to understand that without members attending those AGMs, this is the place where they need to come to and discuss, and we could put our ideas together so that we can bring the industry together. The board itself cannot bring the industry anywhere. The board is just a little part of the organization, but the members are those persons who will run with the idea. At present, Mille is on the bylaw reform. We are looking at how to reform our bylaws to make ourselves more productive per se. So all of these things that we are doing so that we can be more effective, more efficient. And even right now in Soufrière, we are beginning to do stuff in Soufrière. Right now, we are working with the disabled students in Soufrière, the special needs schools, because they are those who people don't want to employ. So right now, we are in the process of teaching them beekeeping. That is with AICA helping out. Even Stonefield Resort is prepared. That's where we have a few hives to help them to come in, and they could learn beekeeping so that they can be self-sufficient. They could begin to produce for themselves. So this is where Mille is going.
Okay, well, I have to stop you there, because I know you can go on and on and on. So I really want to thank you all for being here, because we have come to the end of the program. Anthia, thank you for being here. I wish you success with the program, and I wish you again success.
Thank you very much.
I hope you all keep on that bond, and then I hope you all get where you're supposed to get. Thank you again for being here. You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. Thank you for viewing. Again, Lucia has grown. We are 40 years, and we are moving on. And the journey continues. Eat fresh, St. Lucia's best. I'm Phillip Sydney saying goodbye and see you again.
Thank you very much.
All the best, brother.
Always a pleasure.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.